Hiker Jay here. You're thinking about backpacking. Well, I'm going to tell you a trail tale here about my first experience backpacking. And it might seem like a strange one to share with you if you're thinking about backpacking and talking you into it, because it was a complete train wreck. It was a really difficult, hard experience with some interesting stories that I'm going to share with you. But ultimately, it led to my love of backpacking and a lifelong experience of hiking and being in the wilderness and having those types of experience. So I thought it would be great to actually share with you my first experience of backpacking. Just remember, I just crawled in there, laid down with my Sony Walkman and just listened to my music and took myself to another place. I was in a lot of pain. Before I get into the story, if this is the first time to my channel, thanks so much for stopping by. If you could subscribe, like, and share, that would be awesome. Love to have you along for the ride. I put out new videos every week. Now, let's get into this story. First off, I was 14 years. Let me set you the landscape here. I was 14 years old, and my brother and my father had been backpacking for many years, gone on all types of week-long trips and those types of things, and I thought, wow, this might be kind of cool. Now, I was like 110 pounds, skinny as a rail, no real muscle, and I decided I wanted to go backpacking. And with that, you'd think that I would go light, but instead, my brother set me up with my dad's pack. This pack is a beauty. If you remember, it's like that classic pack that you always see in like the old movies where it's a frame pack, metal external frame pack, of course, all just metal, and a little spot where you put your sleeping bag rolled up at the bottom on all that metal, and you have the straps, and then it's red, a nice little red rectangular like JanSport actual pack on the back of it. This is a beauty. It's somewhere around here, and I've wanted to find it and actually go on a trip using it, but I do remember it was really uncomfortable backpack. The straps just like went right back to like the metal bar in the back, and there's had some webbing on the back that really didn't totally keep you away from the actual bars that were in your back. It was a rough pack. So I got set up with that pack, and then I proceeded to fill it with a bunch of junk that I did not need. Tons of food, all kinds of water, because I was not going to purify and drink from a river, and then this bad boy. That's right, the Sony cassette Walkman. And this is the beauty. This is the waterproof one. Yeah, it's got the water seal and everything. This is designed for backpacking, except for the fact that it's like super heavy. And of course I had to bring like multiple cassette tapes of jam mixes because, you know, you're going to be out there for a couple days. You need your jams. Actually, I want to know, this is a pretty crazy luxury item. Weight and actually the tapes that you have to take and all the batteries and things. Put down in the comments below, what are some of the crazy things that you've taken when you've gone backpacking? Because everybody has something that they've carried sometimes, and they look back 3 or 4 years later and they're like, I can't believe I carried that. Put that down in the comments for me. So I brought this baby with me, and we set out on the trail. First off, to get the pack on, I had to have help because it was so heavy. I put the pack on and I start walking down the trail, and I'm realizing, oh, I'm in for a hurt. We got 8 miles to go, but I'm gonna do it. I'm like set, I'm gonna do this because I told my brother I was gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. So we're hiking along, not even a mile in. I go to grab my camera, and I went to, and it just pivoted the weight, but it was just so heavy, it just took me right down. And I rolled and flipped, and then I ended up totally turtled back on my back like this, just laughing, holding my camera. I couldn't move, I could not get up. I like, no matter what I did, I just couldn't get up. And so first I had my brother take a picture of me, which is what you do. And then, which is a bummer because you can't really look at it right then. You had to then take it home, take it to a drugstore, have them actually develop it, and then you get it like a week later. It's not like, you know, Snapchat for you guys, which is pretty sweet. You have no idea how lucky you are to be able to see a photo instantly and then send it out to your friends so that they can laugh at you. So I had to have help to actually get up from the turtle position. At that point I realized I needed to take this a little bit more seriously and be a little more focused. So I took my Walkman, clipped it on, got out my orange little headphones, you know, with the little orange foam on them, and I just kind of set my tone to it, listened to my music, and just got my rhythm hiking. The bad thing about that was I was just trying to get to the end goal, and I wasn't going to experience anything around me. We even did like a river crossing, but I hardly remembered. I was just like, let's get over this river, get a tent, and do all that. When we got to the campsite, I set up my tent, put my sleeping bag in, and I just went and laid down with my Walkman and just laid in there, and I was like, I'm just done. I'm done with this experience. I'll lay here till tomorrow morning. I remember at one point my brother came to the door and he's like, hey, you gonna come out? And I was just like, look, man, I did your hiking, okay? Leave me alone. I'm in nature, all right? I was kind of flipping out, but I realized something there. When you're backpacking, some people might be pushed to a limit and they just need some space, because ultimately my brother just like went off and he cooked like 3 boxes of mac and cheese, brought me a bowl, I ate some, and then I came out and I did enjoy the night. We had a campfire and those type of things, but I did crash out super early. with a lot of aches and pains, Tylenol, all that type of stuff. So nothing really eventful happened on the next day, but we did hike out. So I was in a lot of pain, I had breakfast, and we just kind of hiked out, and that was it. And I walked away from the experience not really excited about backpacking. I did it, I took on a challenge, and I completed it, but I didn't really enjoy it. Now there's a couple things that happened there that I've realized through guiding and backpacking and different things, was that when you take somebody out, or if you go out for your first time, really plan to do 2 nights. Because this is really important. What happens is, you go out the first day and you hike and everything sort of feels weird and awkward and whatnot on your packs and your shoulders and everything. But then you set up your gear and you're not really sure, but you're setting everything up and you camp out. You use your stove for the first time and make your food and everything. The next morning you get up and you're like, I gotta pack all this up. But what that first night and day does is it gives you kind of a dry run. So what happens then is you get up, you put your pack together, put it back on your back. Now you're like, oh yeah, I did this yesterday. I know I put my pack on and walk in the woods. So you go to your next campsite. And something amazing always happens on the second night. Everybody gets to camp and they just set up their tent, set it all up, and your whole community is all set up. You know how to cook in your stove and do all those things, and then you're able to go to bed and sleep really well because you've done it already the night before. And I have found so many people, even the people that are sore on the second day, if you go through to 2 nights, that third day walking out, people just feel good. Your body's acclimated to it and you just really enjoy walking out. So I do say that 2 nights are so important. But the key thing is that you're not just trying to get to point A to point B, that you're enjoying the wilderness. Now that comes into how I actually fell in love with backpacking. So I liked the idea of backpacking, but I didn't like the idea of carrying all that weight. So I actually ended up hiking a lot of just day trails. I got into photography and I'd want to walk around and take, sneak up on animals or take pictures of birds, those types of things, and take a lot of hikes. I got into taking a lot of like 4 or 5 mile type wilderness hikes and really enjoyed it. Ultimately what happened when I got late into high school and into college for sure, I turned that into actual backpacking and fell absolutely in love with it. I think I just wasn't ready for the experience of backpacking, and I don't think I was introduced quite properly. So it's really important that you take the time to introduce yourself in a slow way and don't just go in there for the challenge and just to achieve it. So if there's one thing I could say to convince you to try backpacking, is that there's just something amazing about coming up to a trailhead, putting on your pack, and you have everything there. Your home, your food, your water, everything you need to make it and to live comfortably out in the wilderness for multiple days. This is a great experience, an experience that we don't have these days very often in the things that we do. But when you walk out there and you realize that you can make it with the equipment you have, the little bit of equipment you have, and when you're with others and you get to a campsite and you set up your little village community, there's nothing like it. I absolutely love to be out in nature like that. So if you're thinking about backpacking, it's something you should definitely try. Till next time, just remember, life's a hike, so hike happy with an old school cassette Sony Walkman. Sport style. This baby's waterproof. Totally perfect for the rain when you're backpacking. It doesn't weigh like a pound or anything. Just put it in the pack.